Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, this is Renae from the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So if you've listened to this podcast before, you know that we talk about different kinds of fans, what the fan life looks like behind the Dave Matthews Band. And so tribute bands are definitely a different way to look at fans of the band, because ultimately that is what they are. They're fans that are also singing the music of the Dave Matthews Band. And guess who comes out to hear the Dave Matthews Tribute Band? Fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So it's really cool to see what all the fans are doing all over the United States. And one of the luxuries of this podcast is I've been able to follow the Dave Matthews Tribute Band for a while now, done a couple of gigs with them, gotten to know the guys, and it's just been a lot of fun. So I am in New York this weekend for the One Sweet World Festival in Lafayette, New York, which honestly I had to Google because I had no idea where that was. Where are we, ladies? We are south of Syracuse. Yeah, we're 30 minutes south of Syracuse, which is where we stayed last night. And so we are in the middle of the woods called Wonderland Forest, and it lights up at night. It's very magical, but it is in the middle of nowhere, and you guys can talk. So I've got some friends with me. Obviously, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you can see this. And I encourage you, if you're listening to this episode, please check out the YouTube side of it, because this particular episode is going to be worth much more to you if you can see it, because we're going to attach some live videos of the guys on stage, and we're going to interview with each of the members of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. But then there's some perks that come along with being in the middle of nowhere. We think about the band's life and the families behind them, and oftentimes families travel with the band because that's your kid, or that's your husband, or that's your brother, or whatever. And so today I have a mom of one of the members. And so I'm going to let her say, well, who are you, first of all, and where in the world do you live?
Okay. My name is Barb, and David is my son, and we live in Orchard Park, New York.
Who in the world is David? If someone's watching this and you're not familiar with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, which a lot of people are not, and so that's kind of the point of this whole podcast too, is so that you are aware. I think, we are closer to the end than we are to the beginning of the Dave Matthews Band, and so we start looking for the next generation of fans that are going to continue to take this music on into the future, and these are some guys that are doing it.
Yes, David Suriani is the drummer of the band, and my son, obviously. So we try and get out and see as many shows as we can. I love it every time. It's, it never gets old. No, never. So, and I'm very proud of him and all the guys that are in the band, because they work so hard to get where they are now, and they're still trying to improve themselves. So.
Yeah, so you live about 2 hours away from here, which is also where David and his girlfriend Becky live. And so it wasn't a far drive for you to come out here. No. But had you ever been out here before?
No.
Did you know that this place existed?
No, I did not. It's
really a magical place. There have been some really fun moments. I found a real live gnome in the forest. And so again, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the picture that I'm putting up right now of me getting a custom hat from a gnome that we found in a magical forest. And that sounds like I was just doing drugs, but I'm here to say I was not. And I really did find a living gnome out in the magical forest. And he gave me a hat that he made in his tent with the sewing machine. And it was like a whole deal.
Why don't you have it on right now?
Why do I not have it on? Well, watch later. I bet I will at the concert tonight. So we'll attach that to the end of tonight, because tonight is night 2. So this was a 2-night show. Night 1, of course, Friday night. Night 2 is tonight, which is Saturday night. So we're excited for more. And the cool thing that they're doing this weekend is they're not repeating any songs. So it is, if you're here for both nights, you're getting, potentially close to 40 songs of the Dave Matthews Band. And so they do such a good job. Now, the Dave Matthews Tribute Band does a good job of paying tribute to the original sound of the Dave Matthews Band. So you've got the fiddle or the violin, you've got the keys that are, kind of up to the original sound. And so that's their gig. So if you're really into the original sounds of the Dave Matthews Band, then you really do need to check out the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. They're on everything, social media wise, Facebook page, on Instagram. I think it's under the DMTB. They even have a TikTok, so be sure to follow them because they travel. They travel so much, Mama. Tell us how much they travel.
Well, David lives about 1 minute from me, and you would think I would see him, maybe once a day, once a week. I see him once a month. Oh, so he's gone a lot. And he loves it, He wouldn't want to do anything else right now,
Right. Yeah.
So I encourage him to live out his dream.
Yeah. Well, they're traveling everywhere. My friend Teresa's helping. We both got these shirts. Nurses and music, saving lives forever. We're just a bunch of nurses out here doing a podcast. We're like professional relationship builders, and that's really all this is about building relationships and talking to people that have a common interest, which is the music of the Dave Matthews Band. And so, have you traveled a lot to see him outside of the home area?
Yes, we have. Just trying to. You're putting me on the spot.
And it was Saturn. It was in Saturn, the one with the rings.
Texas is probably the furthest we have gone to see him play.
That's actually really far though from Buffalo.
We flew out there, so a lot of the places we go see him. We have a camper and we use the camper and follow him that way. But I want to say that's the furthest I've ever been. New York City he's played in. We've been there.
That's fun. So I have.
Local is better for us right now, but we're both retired, so
No, I get
I'm
it.
willing to.
This is the best time of your life to travel and
my
watch your
gosh,
son live his dreams, right? Because that's what they're doing right now. Like, they're
be
not
there.
doing it because this is what they have to do. They're doing this because this is what they want to do. And there's a big difference there between people that get on stage and they just do it because for the money. These dudes obviously need to get paid and they're making a living doing this, but also they love what they're doing and they love the music. And so those are really cool things that come with tribute bands. So were you familiar with the music of the Dave Matthews Band before David got involved in this?
Yes, me and my husband Dan, we loved Dave Matthews. And when David was like 7, we would listen to music and he was there and he would listen to it and he got to like it a lot. Yeah. And as far as the drumming is concerned, he had I don't want to say it was a tick, but he was always pounding on the tables. Mm-hmm. And that's how we got him involved in drumming and never looked back.
Well, it looks like you made the right decision.
I certainly did. Yeah.
You nailed it there,
well
Mom.
Worth it. Yeah. To listen to all that year after year after year. And it was good. It was all good.
Yeah. So, when did you find the music of the Dave Matthews Band? Like, can you remember? Of course, they started in 1991. So, did you hear about them in the 90s? Like, were you familiar then, or was it a little bit longer?
It was in the 90s. The first time I ever seen them in concert was at Darien Lake and out by us. And actually, we were really lucky. It was sold out. It was in July, and my husband's birthday was coming up. And at that time, you could call and get tickets. And I called just for the heck of it, and they had a cancellation, and we were like 10 rows from the stage. Dang. So it was an awesome concert. Yeah, it was an awesome concert. Yep.
I've always heard the Darien Lake, and I've never been just because I'm so far from this area, but there's like a Six Flags next door. Is that right? Yeah, there's things to do.
Yes, it's a wonderful place to go listen to music. Yeah. So
yeah, I want to hit all of them, and I've had so much fun just visiting, just like you, like traveling and kind of discovering the nation. And of course, you're going to have many more opportunities ahead with David. Oh, yeah. Their schedule's getting busy. I know that they're finishing up what is considered their summer part, and then they already have a fall part planned. It's pretty heavy. I know they're headed down to Florida very soon, and so there's some opportunities if you're living in Florida, which I know there's a lot of Dave Matthews Band fans in Florida. I mean, that's where the band opened up this year, and so there's a lot of fans there. So be sure to check out the Dave Matthews Tribute Band as they travel to Florida and do their winter leg. They're smart. They're coming to Florida. Like, they don't want to be in Buffalo in the winter, do they?
Well, no, I would like them to be in Buffalo in the winter, but yeah, no, I get it. They love the travel too, you know. I mean, and if you play too much, to me, if you play too much in one area like Buffalo, it just gets kind of too saturated.
No, it does, yeah.
So if they do it 2 or 3 times in a year, that's plenty. It gets the people to come back.
That's right. And they're looking for opportunities to grow. They do offer private parties. I mean, the boys have told me that they've done birthdays, like 40th birthdays, 41st birthdays. They've done weddings. So definitely dig into it. Go to their website, check them out, because it cost over $1 million to have the Dave Matthews Band come to your house. I don't know if that's something that y'all can swing. I cannot, and it's never going to be a thing I can swing. But I can afford the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. And if you've never heard them, they're so good.
As close as in my opinion, again, they're as close as you can get to the real thing.
Yeah, they're really, really good. So check into them. Again, support fans of the music that are trying to do more with the music. We're closer to the end than we are to the beginning. So we gotta find a way to fill our hearts, because, oh my God, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do when they quit, right? And so we've got these amazing, talented young dudes, and so I think it's important to just like really invest in local musicians, people that are chasing their dreams. And so be sure to check them out again, the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. This is David's mom. So thanks for just meeting with me. This was very impromptu. We're literally like in our in the bunkhouse.
In the bunkhouse, in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. We're just chilling. Another reason to, again, watch this on YouTube. This is where we've hung out a lot, and we've had some meals. We're going to have some future meals here. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me. We can't wait to just continue supporting what they're doing. And so we know that we'll be seeing you on the road too.
For sure you will.
Yep. All right, guys, be sure to stay tuned, because we're going to go to, one of the members next. It's going to be great. So stay tuned. Hey guys, we're back with another member of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. And so if you're familiar with the violin, there's a couple of different people that play the fiddle, or the violin, if you will. And so one of those is my friend Abe that's here. And so we are going to talk about how he brings the music of Boyd Tinsley alive on stage, in the crowd, sometimes on top of tables. We're going to talk about all of that to dig into who Abe is. So first, I know you have a guest with you, so I'm excited to have him with you. And again, if you're listening to this on a podcast app, just know that you can watch this on YouTube. And I encourage you to do so, because this is such a visual story. We're breaking down families to see who these guys are when it comes to the tribute band. So Abe, thank you so much. This is not your first time to be on the show, but thank you so much for being willing to come back. Tell us who you have with us today.
Special guest is Kyle. Kyle, my son. This is actually the furthest he's gone to come see a show. So this is kind of a first time for him. I thought Wonderland Forest would be a wonderful experience. It's a camping experience. I have a younger one that's a little bit more camera shy, so he's not going to be with us, today for the interview. But yeah, Kyle's been helping me. He's been a roadie for me, lugging stuff, because I'm a little bit older now, and things get a little bit heavier.
Back pain's real.
Yeah, it is totally real.
So how long have you been? So if this is the first time, if you've never heard of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, there are several members in there. They move positions, so there's not just one of each person. And that's what enables them to really kind of be all over, but also have personal lives as well. Because, of course, being a dad is really important. You have to focus on those things. And living on the road makes parenting difficult, right? Like, because you're not present as much. So thankfully, the Dave Matthews Tribute Band has a couple of different people that can slide in and out, but still provide like that quality sound that we're looking for. So besides you, who else is playing in the band in your part, or in Boyd's part, if you will?
We have Sean, we have Crinzy, and we have Alexi, and they are absolutely fantastic musicians. I see videos of them online. I've never met any of them. I've met actually everybody in the band that has rotated through the saxophone and drums, but unfortunately we don't cross paths as violin players, but they are my heroes. I see them do what they do, and it's absolutely great that I'm very privileged to share kind of like that stable of really, really good violin players in this band. So,
So how long have you been familiar with the music in general? When did you meet the Dave Matthews Band?
I met Under the Table and Dreaming was the CD, and back in the day you could order 10 CDs for 1 penny.
Yeah, you could.
In the Columbia House, and that was one of the ones I chose, and it got mailed to my house, or actually mailed to my college mailbox, and I had a collection of CDs then. It was a very affordable way to collect music, and that's when I heard that CD, and it was great. It's absolutely wonderful. realize there was a violin in it. As a kid, I played a lot of classical music, and I love classical music, but I knew that classical music was not necessarily my path, and there wasn't really any type of pioneer violin player that kind of showcased that. And Boyd Tinsley was kind of like the first one to kind of that was kind of in the forefront of it, especially during the grunge scene in the 90s. It was a little bit different. It was wonderful. I knew of it. I didn't know I could do it. I don't know if I still can, but I try to emulate and try to do it justice.
Yeah.
So it's
I think you're doing it. And we talked about this before we were recording. There's a sense of performance that goes into Abe. Not only is he killing it and getting all of the notes, but he's also making people like want to watch him. And so do you remember like the first time you were like, I think I'm just going to get off stage and play like in the crowd? Like, do you remember that moment?
Yes, I do. Actually, I think you were there. It was at the Apple Fest in Wachusett Mountain in Massachusetts. And oddly enough, it was actually a Dave Matthews song, but it was not with a Dave Matthews tribute band. It was actually just a cover band, and they know I had played in a Dave Matthews tribute band, a local one in New England, and they wanted to do that song, and I had hyperextended one of my muscles in my leg, and it was the worst idea ever. So I actually came out to the crowd, and I have this video on my Instagram. You can see me hobbling through the solo of Ants Marching. That's what I came on to, and I don't know what got to me, but I actually just ended up standing on a picnic bench. But when I do these things, I try to scope out and make sure that everything's safe and sturdy. Make sure I kind of do a plot line of exactly where I'm going to go and where we're going to approach. There are times where it's super crowded in the audience. I try to make sure that I don't want to be in anybody's way. I'm really conscious that they're still going to have a great experience, and and so there are a lot of things that go into it, oddly enough, but sometimes it's impulsive too as well.
No, I think that people like that though, like they don't know what you're going to do, and I mean that's fun. I think you probably have some things that you watch just because it's entertaining, right? And
yes.
So you're really good at what you do, but you're also entertaining to watch. So we've had a lot of fun watching you do everything with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. And of course, like I said, if you are just listening to this on a podcast app, be sure to watch the YouTube side of this and watch these guys. Check them out on social media because you guys aren't done. Like this summer is ending, but you guys are not done. Tell us about what the future looks like for you traveling with the band.
Yeah, sure. We're going to start our fall tour. It's the dive-in tour, so we're going to hit a lot of spots along the East Coast, and then in the winter we're going to actually head out to the Midwest, and we're trying to hit the West Coast. We would love to kind of grow our tour base, our tour a little bit more. And one of the greatest things is seeing friends, old friends that used to live in Boston, which is where I'm from. They don't live there anymore, and I get to see them on the road. And last night, actually, my friend Kate, who plays cello, she used to live in Boston, but she has since moved away. She was here last night randomly on a Friday night, and she saw me, and I couldn't believe it. And luckily I've gotten used to these surprise visits where I don't get totally distracted and lose my thought when I'm playing. But it's great. It was great seeing her. I broke a string in the middle of the show, and I texted her in the middle of the show, and I said, you're probably the only one in the audience that could change a string, so do you mind doing that? And she's like, absolutely. So she actually came up to the side. I gave her a string. I gave her my violin. She unwound it, and she tightened it up, and then I was ready to go. It was in the middle of Gray Street, and I had to, and at the end of Gray Street, I had a change string violin. So she was my violin tech.
She was your violin tech. She didn't even know she was coming to work, and I
hadn't seen her in 15 years, and the first thing I asked her to do was change a string. And she's like, I could do.
You had confidence. She knew how to do it. So is this your first time here to Wonderland Forest?
Yes, it is. It's my first time here. I went to school in Rochester, New York, so it's close to Syracuse, which is where we are, about a half an hour south of that. So I do know the area. I'm familiar with Wegmans and all that culture that's upstate New York, and it's a lot of fun. And I brought Kyle for the first time. He has actually been to Niagara, with his mom, but this is the first time in this area, so he's familiar with it.
Yeah, so if you're watching this on the YouTube video, you can see that it is magical. It's Wonderland Forest. I mean, we're literally in the middle of nowhere. No one could find us. I think this would be a good place if you wanted to hide. This is the place to come to. But that makes it even more like intimate of a show, and people are here. The people that are out here are here to see the people that are playing, because you do not accidentally find this place. You are on purpose driving here to do something, and so it's been a lot of fun. It's beautiful. At night, this place kind of comes to life. It's glowing. There's creatures in the woods, and so it's magical. So thank you guys so much for meeting with us again, and we just can't wait to see what's happening next.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're back, and I have a member of the band with me, and so he was randomly picked, just like this. He felt like I just took him by the shirt and was like, come here. Also, I've never met you before. So it was like a whole different level of like, oh God, what's about to happen? But that's how we do it here. So again, if you were just listening to this, be sure to watch this on YouTube, because you're going to be able to see the band members, which I think is important, just like as we get to know, because with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, it is not the same set of guys every time. And so I have a professional camera girl with me. She's doing so good. And I've inserted a picture of our camera stand, so be sure to check out the YouTube channel, because Pepsi, #Pepsi, you're helping us out today. You're helping us out. Thank you so much. So we're doing all the things. So Gresh, good to meet you. So you play the saxophone, and so tell us, how long have you been with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band?
Well, it seems like since I was a kid, but yeah. So the band with your DMTB, I first met Gary in another project that he was a part of. And then they had a gig with DMTB that Gary had joined later. And Gary had remembered me from when I played with him with an earlier band. Yeah. And they needed a sax player to go to Nantucket to play at the Chicken Box, which, if you've never been there, is this iconic little place in Nantucket. There's like 2 places to party on Nantucket, and this is one of them. Oh. Yeah. It's a great live venue. If you can ever check out any band there, it's a great experience. Cool. So I remembered that I liked Dave Matthews' music. Yeah. I actually saw Dave Matthews in 1994 in Morgantown, West Virginia, when I was in college at WVU. And so I remembered that experience, and I didn't know a lot about Dave's music. Yeah. I knew probably what was on the radio, maybe a couple of the more deep cuts, if you consider Gray Street a deep cut, or something like that.
Do we, Camera Girl, do we consider Gray Street a deep track? Anthem and a deep track. It can be both, but I don't know. He sings it so often now, it's not a deep track anymore. It may have been, but it's not now. Everybody knows it, I think. And if you don't, check it out on your favorite whatever. Gray Street.
Then that means you won't play it.
You want him to play it, though, right? You want him to play it.
I want him to play it.
Yeah. So if you've never listened to this podcast before either, so there's over 125 episodes, and what we do is we have conversations. So there's a lot of people in the room. We just chill. We just like talk to each other. So, okay. So let's go back. When did you start playing the saxophone? And I don't want to ask how old you are now, but I'm going to, just because.
Years old.
So you're 48.
I was born in 76.
Okay. When did you start playing the saxophone? And was that the first instrument that you picked up?
So my older brother played oboe, which, if you're familiar with that instrument, like an orchestral instrument.
A little bit.
And then in marching band, he played saxophone. And he was my older brother, so, of course, hero stuff. Yeah. And I went to football games and watched him in halftime shows playing saxophone. And I thought that was awesome. Yeah. Plus, if you think about the 1980s, all of these amazing saxophone solos and all those 80s tunes. And I remember being on the school bus hearing that stuff. Yeah. So I always had that sound in my head. And then when I saw my brother playing it, I made that connection. And my mom was cool enough to invest in a saxophone and a private instructor. And so I started doing weekly lessons, and practicing saxophone was the only thing that my parents didn't have to force me to do, like cleaning my room, doing the dishes, any of that stuff. So she got me sax lessons. Gotcha. And then the whole middle school band program in West Virginia was wonderful. The high school program I went to was really great. Yeah. And then went to college and joined the Navy and traveled the world for 23 years as a musician.
So I was going to say, did you play in the Navy?
Navy band, yeah.
You did?
Yeah, so I joined the Navy in 1999, took the audition in 1998, and spent a year transitioning out of college into the Navy, went to boot camp. And then Yeah.
What was the process like? Like, did you have to try out to be in the Navy band?
Yeah, you take an audition as a civilian. You take an audition. They have very strict standards. You have to perform on your instrument to a minimum standard, which is very high. And if they have a position available, they'll offer you a job. And if you get that job, you have the opportunity to travel the world and play your instrument in the cloth of the nation, representing the United States in countries that don't like us, because the State Department uses us as a way to win the hearts and minds of the local populations. Because we play
With music, sir? What?
literally. That's why when I started getting into Dave's music, like after I met Gary and they offered me to do this gig, like I started doing a real deep dive. The lyrics of Dave's music really spoke to me because I had spent 23 years like really using music in a way to try to do exactly some of the things he talks about in his lyrics. Yeah, it was cathartic, I think.
If you're watching this or if you're listening to this on podcast app, be sure to check it out again. So be sure to check out the YouTube channel so that you can see that picture.
It was a wonderful way to do something I loved in uniform and service to my country, you know, and there were sacrifices, lifestyle sacrifices that I had to make, but I would do it again.
Dude, music is everywhere, literally. I mean, if you never thought about that, like, yeah, it's literally everywhere.
Music is what feelings sound like. And I think it's just super powerful because there's so many different ways we try to express feelings. Like people will paint or they'll write stories or lyrics, like Dave write lyrics. But when we hear it as music, there's a connection that's made in a way that I think nothing else gets made. I see it happening on stage. Like I remember sometimes I get to hide behind sunglasses because that's what Leroy would do, and I try to bring that persona, but it allows me to observe people from the stage. And God, when the lights come on for somebody that's having that memory when one of those songs starts, and you see them like I'm getting a little choked up just thinking about it, but it becomes a physical manifestation of that emotion. Music does that. I love being a part of that.
I love that. So what is I know, and that's a good thing. I mean, and it happens when you talk about music time and time again, like, because it affects everything about it. And that's why we always say nurses and music. Like, we love that tie to like that music is actually like a chemical response, or you can have a chemical response in your brain when music is played. And that's why they say, like, you know, even playing music for your baby that is not even born, like, all of these things are so important. And then so again, it just emphasizes how important music is and how everyone needs it. So okay, kind of go through the process with us of like, there's a couple of different sax players. Like, how does that work out when the band is on tour?
Well, sometimes you have a plan, and then you do your best to stick by that, and then things change in people's lives. And so we've got this amazing group of folks that literally have each other's backs when it comes to making this project as high quality as it possibly can be, because we really all just care to do it right, you know? So when it comes to the saxophone spot, we have a scheduling process that you can imagine, you know, looking forward 18 months at gig opportunities, booking gigs, and then they get put into a spreadsheet, and I get an opportunity to look at those opportunities for gigs and decide my wife and I go through the schedule and we decide which ones I can do. And we decide together. And sometimes she gets to come with me on the road, and that's so much fun. And other times she's like, oh, have fun with your friends and play music, you know.
We all get that.
Right? Yeah. Which is awesome, but we make that decision together. And I made mistakes in the past where I didn't work with Kate to make those decisions, and it didn't work out. So when we get into situations where where I can't do a gig for any reason, then we will look at either having an amazing player, his name is Eric, another amazing player, his name is Noah. We got another amazing player, his name is Chris. And these guys will be contacted and say, hey, these dates are available. Can you cover them? And it has never been a situation where we've been stuck. But if we do get stuck, we will figure it out. Like, we've had some close calls, but we always got each other's backs. So generally those kinds of decisions are regionally based where those guys live. But sometimes if you got to put them on a plane and fly them around, that's what we do. And we just get them to the gig.
Right. But I think that just proves like the flexibility within the band too, and like how awesome of musicians they all are, right? Because they are flexible. There are like change outs from time to time, but they always sound amazing. So again, you're just getting together with a group of guys that love the music, but are also like professional rock stars as well, even though they have other jobs that they may do. Some of them, part-time rock stars.
Weekend warriors, perhaps. I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I've played in a lot of I call them civilian bands, right? Because when I was in active duty, if you moonlighted on the outside of active duty, you were playing, civilian bands. Right? So that's still how I think about it. It's weird. I've played with a lot of civilian bands, and they, by and large, have always tried to be true to the music. But the guys and the women associated with this project, there's a different level of dedication. It's almost an obsession to try to bring that mid-2000 Dave Matthews Band sound to life. The fiddle is so critical to that. I love standing on the side of the stage the first time an old school DMB fan hears the fiddle get played. They light up. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it. And it's so, like, as a sax player, you could get butthurt about that, but no, you gotta love that. You gotta love it.
You do. And there are so many fans that just love that part and they miss that part. And we hear that often. And so this is your opportunity to get that feeling once again by following the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. So thank you so much for sitting down with me. We hadn't got to do that in the past. So I'm super interested. Hopefully at some point we'll have all the members rotate in just so you can kind of meet who it is that makes up the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. So again, stay tuned for the next person that's on. Thank you so much.
Great. That was awesome, Renae. Thanks.
Awesome. Hey, so we're here with another member of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
Okay. I'm Zach, and I'm born and raised in Seattle, but now living in New Hampshire.
Awesome.
So, yep.
Awesome. So how long have you been with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band? And how did you even find them?
Well, I actually played my first gig with them in 2012. Funny enough, I actually reached out to them because I was in high school at the time, and I'd been dying to play with any form of band that played Dave. Yeah. And being on the keys, I was like, oh, they're playing in Seattle. It's actually a thing, but it was a weeknight, so I had to convince the parents.
Right.
But
Right. No,
and then got up with them, and ever since, I think I've played off and on up until 2021 was when it kind of became more of a regular thing. Once I moved out east with my job, it made it a lot more feasible. So.
Yeah. So take me back. How long have you played the keys in general, and what inspired you to do so? And so just so we kind of paint a picture of how long you've been playing.
Yeah. I started piano lessons, what would that have been? I think the summer after first grade, so I would have been 6 or 7.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yep. And then I was introduced to Dave through our neighbor gave us the original Gorge box set with the DVD in it. And kind of the rest is downhill from there. Wow. Yeah, because I heard all the little piano parts that Butch played, and I'm like, I want to do that, So yeah.
So
I vividly remember that box set being what really it was the title screens on DVDs, right? When you put it in, so the title's music for that was the jam and What Would You Say, and I think that was what I was like, this is really cool. So that was what kind of locked me in, and then yeah.
So, of course, the Dave Matthews Tribute Band kind of throws back to some sounds of the early 2000s. So you guys play tribute to those sounds. And so tell us kind of what that looks like for you as far as being a key player and what you want your sound to be like.
Yeah. So oddly enough, my biggest influence in learning outside of, because I did classical piano for a while, but once I kind of started branching out into more jazz and modern stuff, with Dave Matthews having a keyboard player at the time, Butch Taylor was definitely my biggest influence. And so for me, I wanted to pay honor to the stuff that he did, and I really enjoyed. And you'll see a lot of what he did was Carter has these little signature licks he'll do on different tunes, and Butch played with Carter even before Dave Matthews Band doing jazz stuff. So they're already really tight players, and so Butch would hear something Carter did and be like, I'm going to throw something, melodical over that, and then it just grew, and I really grew to like that. And so long story short, is I try and learn those parts, transcribe them, and then bring them into our music that we're paying tribute to. So,
right. So not everyone that's a Dave Matthews Band fan is familiar with that side of it, because of course with over 30 years of music, people have come in and out of what times they found. So can you describe, are there some sounds, are you able to kind of pick out the time frames of when he was playing versus now with Buddy and his style? Are you able to kind of see the differences, see the changes, and what are your thoughts as far as being a keys player on the current Buddy and what he brings to the band? I
was actually really happy to see a key player come back. I'm very biased to it, but There's a lot of stuff. When he first started, he was playing a lot more organ, and over time I've noticed he's bringing a lot of that piano sound back, which I'm also biased to, and I've really liked a lot of it. Actually, like last night we did Typical Situation, and the ending of it, I did a couple things that Buddy plays because I really like. So I do pull from both, but it is predominantly Butch because of the sets we're doing. Yeah. But there is, when we do some of the newer stuff, I'm definitely still pulling from his too. So yeah.
Well, guys, so this is just another part of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. Of course, it takes all of them.
So I actually am the only key player as of now, yeah. But you were mentioning like the early 2000s. We do have a couple really talented electric guitar players, so there are some times where if I'm not playing the set, we'll have them, so we'll be able to do more of the modern sets. So we're able to kind of branch out. But,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, guys, again, if you haven't heard of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, be sure to check them out on all of the social medias. And they've got a big tour that is coming up. They're headed south to Florida. I don't know. Are you going to be part of that?
Well, not unfortunately.
No. I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place, especially in the winter. So be sure to check out the Dave Matthews Tribute Band anywhere that you can get. I guess YouTube. There's a lot of videos on YouTube where you could check them out live or check them out, their videos. And then, of course, they're all over social media. So thank you so much for meeting with us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Boom. All right, guys, I am with David, who is the drummer of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. How long have you been in the Dave Matthews Tribute Band?
I've been in the band since 2017. This is my first gig, June 1st or about then of 2017. So what is that now? That's 7 years. 7 years. Yeah.
7 years. That's a very long time. And this is something you do pretty much full time, right?
Yeah. Me and basically, I would say several others in the group are now basically full-time. Some of us have side jobs and stuff, but full-time.
Yeah, so I want to dig into your past, but I have to talk about what's in the room. So right now, we have a special guest in the room. Tell us, it's his name, right? It's a boy, right?
Yeah, Shadow.
Shadow.
Yep. He's my dude. He hangs out. Well, this is my office, so when I'm making videos for us or everything I do for the band, he's right next to me on the desk. And he is
he's maybe the Dave Matthews Tribute Band cat,
pretty much. Yeah. And he helps make all of our social media content. He's been featured in some stories.
I'll have
he's
to
been
look
around
for you now that I know you, Shadow.
He's a cuddly dude, so he's going to be hanging out.
So David and his girlfriend Becky have just been so kind in hosting me while I've been here in New York, and so I've got to kind of see where they live and what life looks like for them. And honestly, I'm so kind of jealous of just how I've given him a lot of words. When I first saw his house, what was the first word I said when I saw your house?
Oh, you said it was precious.
It's precious.
I was yeah.
It's just you have he lives out kind of in the country, and you guys have chickens. Mm-hmm. How many? Tell us about the chickens. So you have
8.
8 chickens. Tell us their names.
All of them right now. Okay.
Yeah, come on. High speed.
Okay, Speck, Bean, Luna, Cleo, Mama, Safi, Bertha, and Big Bird.
Yeah.
I got them all.
Big Bird, yes.
That's not bad.
You did it. And so, it's they live on a farm. And I'm from Arkansas, and I'm here, and I'm I'm on a farm. It's really, really good. You guys have put a lot of work into this, so thank you for hosting me.
Yeah, of course, it was fun.
It's been good to kind of get to know these guys. It's been really good to get to know these guys, because now I can kind of see what it is that they're doing here with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. So I guess just kind of tell us, what is the mission of your band? Why are you guys even a band?
The mission, to start there, we've made it really clear since, and I'll call this the new phase of the band is since 2021 onward, so post-COVID, let's call it. Mm-hmm. Our mission has always been to just, obviously we know Dave tours, and we're all massive Dave fans. We go see Dave. We are huge fans and believers in the old days of Dave, the original 5, the original 6, when they had Butch and all that in the early 2000s. So bringing that sound that everyone seems to miss. They love going to see Dave, but they're man, I just miss hearing violin because it's what we grew up with, quote unquote. So the mission has always been to just bring that sound back and just try to do it justice. And we think that there's a market of people out there and a group of people out there who are excited about that. So that's the mission.
That's the mission. And so what does the future look like? What are you guys like, what is the next, tell us what the next couple of months look like for you guys.
Well, so right now, like, we've been on our summer tour. The break, we called it a break free tour. We've been playing break free a lot. And that's been really successful since end of March, and that goes through the end of September, and it's basically been nonstop.
Yeah.
And then we hit the road in October for what we're calling Dive In Tour. So we'll be going down to Florida and back up. So just down the East Coast from Buffalo and back up.
That's awesome.
And then finally we have a break in November
Yeah.
until New Year's Eve, which we haven't announced it yet, but we're probably going to have like a New Year's Eve run tour of shows.
Hey, so
hey, heard it here
here-
first. But
that's
that's what the plans look like in terms of our schedule, which has been nuts.
Okay, so I know this may be something that you have thought about, maybe you haven't, but I know that maybe if someone's listening to this and they're like, why are you calling it the Break Free Tour if you guys are throwing it back to the early Dave? Which really, I have to say, if you think that Break Free is something that just came out because it just came out on the album that just dropped for the Dave Matthews Band, here's something you can learn on this podcast. It's actually an older song. It's just never been placed on an album, but it is actually from the early 2000s. So you guys are just, I don't know if you thought about that, David, but
we did. When we named the tour, we were like, well, it's relevant now because the song's on this new album.
Yeah.
And they were playing it live more than they previously were in, the last 5-6 years.
Right.
And then we were like, well, it'd be funny because we could call it the Break Free Tour, and if people know of the new album and they see that, it'll be recognizable. And then we're like, but the real OGs, the real Dave, like old school Dave people, they'll be like, oh yeah, that was 2005, 2006, like that was a huge song live for people. I think we were like, man, maybe we could bring that back to people.
Right,
so
exactly.
It was a play on both ends of the new album version and the old song.
I love that. So besides traveling on the road, like, how are people finding you? Like, if someone's on social media right now and they're like, well, I've never heard of you, seen of you, whatever, like, what's the best way for someone to follow you guys to see what you're doing?
Well, obviously, like, the socials are the way to go. So, our social information is just the DMTB, and that's on Facebook, Instagram. I think we're on like TikTok. I think we're on Twitter or X.
You are.
I don't run those two accounts, so that's why I don't know.
Yeah.
But so we're up there, and then on YouTube we're the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. But that's obviously like the easiest way. I mean, that's how everything is these days. And then our website, thedmtb.com.
Awesome. So yeah, if you've never heard of these guys, if you've never checked them out, be sure to check out because they are doing a lot of traveling. But what are some other ways, and I really want to dig into who you are, David, as a person, but I want people to know, like, what are some other ways of, say, they live in, let's throw Kansas out there, maybe even Oklahoma, only because we just watched Twister today.
It's on our mind.
And I was like, it's fresh on my mind. Let's pick a state that you guys are, but you've been to Oklahoma.
Yep.
You
and
went to
Kansas.
Tulsa.
We played Kansas.
Hey, see, that's right. So, but like, on the regular, you guys are not going to be there. So if someone's listening in Kansas right now and they're like, well, dude, I'd love for you to like come over and just chill and play in our backyard, what would you say to that?
Yes, we do these private parties, right? Is what you're getting to.
Yeah.
We do private events all the time, anywhere. I mean, last year, 2023, we went to we did San Francisco, did a private party. We did several in the Northeast. We did a couple in Charlotte, South Carolina, and we have gone all the way to St. Bart's.
Awesome.
Which is an island in the Caribbean. And I mean, just goes to show, we'll go anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're super fun because it's usually, I mean, obviously if you're hiring a Dave tribute to play in your backyard or at your wedding or at your birthday party or whatever, like, you're a big fan.
Yeah.
That's not like, you could easily just hire any party band or just
Right.
put on some music. Like, so we usually end up making great friends with those people. They keep coming to our shows, and it becomes like a real friendship thing. Like, people host us and they end up saying, I can't even explain, like, people are giving us keepsakes from their house and like, oh, keep this, well, like, remember when you came here and played my anniversary party, and like, that's really fun.
Yeah.
So doesn't matter where you are, like, we will be there.
Yeah. So if like someone's listening to this and they're like, well, damn, that sounds amazing. How do I get out more information about that? Like, who do they, just the website? Or?
Yeah, the website has a contact page, and it has me on there as like the band owner / like point of contact, but really the other person on the page is our agent. His name is Joel Hanks.
Okay.
And he runs his company's Providence Music Group, which is who we are booked through.
Gotcha.
And he's the one who handles everything. But there's two of us on that page. You could text or email either one, and it'll get to the right person.
Awesome.
So.
Awesome. Well, definitely be sure to check that out. I know people are always looking for party bands.
Yes.
And if you're listening to this, I mean, there's a 99.999% chance that you are a Dave Matthews Band fan.
Yes.
So, yeah, thanks for letting me plug this, because I've seen you guys perform over and over and over and over. And what I have got a chance to see is, of course, just behind the scenes of the band and get to know you guys, but also seeing how the crowd, different people in different places all over the country, or in a lot of parts of the country that I've seen you guys just respond really well to it.
Yeah.
And so it's been such a joy. So I know that people are really digging you. So thanks for talking about that. So, you know, if you're interested, definitely reach out to them and just see like what those next steps look like. It doesn't hurt to just to see, right?
Sure.
So let's talk about you.
Okay.
Let's talk. I know. I kind of like.
All right, let's go.
We're getting into it. Let's see. Where are you from?
From here. I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Well, I was born in Rochester, but I moved here before I can remember.
Yeah.
So I was raised in Buffalo.
Yeah. So your family lives here. Like everybody's kind of here. This is home.
Yep. This is home, and most of the family's still here. So
Yeah.
home base.
Yeah. Yeah. So outside of Dave Matthews Tribute Band, what do you like to do? Oh, we talked about chickens. We talked about cats. What else do you like to do?
Outside of playing music, like me and Becky, who you my girlfriend, we are really big on like getting outside. We've always bonded over camping and obviously boating and the motorcycle, which we're sitting next to.
Yep.
Like we're very like active, outdoorsy.
Yeah.
Get away from people, quiet places, but that's a big passion of ours, and it shows like with our, where we live, and like we love to kind of care to our yard, our hobbies, our yard hobbies, just keeping it simple like that. Like I would say our hobbies are, it's usually together with her, and for me personally, like I have another job that I, I do things. I'm productive,
You're multi-talented. You're
Sure.
doing all kinds of shit out there.
productive, and but I'm always been into like, for me, this is related to music, but like mixing and making art, making videos, which is what I do. Like all the videos we have out on our pages, I make.
Yeah, awesome.
And I really enjoy that. So
Yeah.
that's been a hobby of mine since before I was doing this band.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's dig in. Drums.
Yes.
When in the world did that come into your life?
I don't
How?
remember how old I was. I don't know. I was before 10 years old.
Yeah.
And then I just remember I did band in elementary school, and
Yeah.
I don't know why I picked drums. I think it's because I thought they were easy. And I didn't want to learn how to play notes, and I don't know. And I did the concert band at school, and then I kept doing it in middle school. I remember not wanting to. My parents had bought me a drum set so I could do jazz band, and I just didn't really care.
Yeah.
I found it frustrating to play, and so yeah, they had me play the drum set, and I don't know, I had a teacher who was super cool, and I just didn't really care about it. And then they made me my drum teacher was like, hey man, when you get into high school, he goes you got to do the marching band. And I was like, marching band, that sounds so lame. And nerdy, and
I get it.
I want to.
But it is one
wanna
of the
be
most beautiful
cool.
things. I have two boys that were in the marching band
Yeah.
playing the drums.
Yeah.
Dude, so it was a good decision, right? It was
I
a good
did that
decision.
my freshman year, and then I was hooked. I thought it was so cool. I made so many friends, and I wanted to play. I wanted to play in the drum line, which was the next step, and I just got really into practicing and honing in on it, and then I loved it.
Yeah.
And then I just in high school is when I got into Dave, and I just wanted to play like Carter Beauford. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
And his drumming has a lot of cross correlation to marching band drumming.
Okay.
Some of the rudiments he plays, which is a technical term. So I just thought that was cool.
Do you know if he was in marching band?
He's all I've heard him there's been comments made where he says that he's very into drum corps, which is marching band, but he just never had like the right connections to get in and play with a drum line.
Yeah.
So like, but he's mentioned it, which is, it makes sense because a lot of the songs, like he's just he has a lot of those marching band type of style rudiments in his playing. So it makes sense.
Yeah. That does. So
that was it. I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
I watched Dave. I watched like one of my buddies gave me the Central Park like CD set at the time, and I was like, I listened to it like non-stop. I just thought I was like blown away, and then I looked up videos, and it was like this giant drum set, and I just was like, this is so awesome.
Yeah.
And I just kind of decided to like, maybe I'll just make a drum set like that. So I just started collecting, like, you know, I was like 16, so I was like working at like the pizza place, and every week if I made like, I'd save up for like a couple weeks, and then I would like get like a cymbal, you know, and like my parents at that point were so supportive. They bought like the actual drum set for me. They helped, and like, but I was so excited to just like keep like getting little pieces, and it was really rare stuff that of course you couldn't just go buy at like Guitar Center, and then I found Adam Parker, who you've interviewed, and I was like, he had everything. The drums, he had everything, and I was like, dude, tell me, like, how did he do this? How did he do that? And he was always so helpful.
Yeah.
He'd always be like, here's a picture I have, and, like, this is how you put it together here. And I was like, this is awesome. I thought it was so cool, and Adam played with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band.
Yes.
And I kind of started just making the right connections, and it just kind of happened.
Right.
Yeah.
I've had the chance to interview a lot of parts of this band, and one of them being David's mom.
Oh my
God. So it's so helpful
So funny.
as you go through telling me your story about how like your mom and
does
dad
it line up?
Oh, we will all line up.
Okay.
Yes. It's a surprise. Like David hasn't heard what his mom has said, and so if you're listening to this, David will be listening to this for the first time as well on the air, so no pressure, David. But yeah, so far you're doing great. It was all lighting up.
Thank you.
But she's so proud of you. So I can see now, like, just from this side of the story, like, maybe she's so proud of you because it was something that she really wanted you to do, and you did it, and you became good at it, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So you stuck with it, obviously. So you get through high school. What do? Like, because I found, like, with my son, once he graduated high school and he had been playing the drums forever, it was such a big part of who he was. There's not a lot of opportunity after high school to do anything unless you join a band, or, I mean, like, what else can you do with that skill?
I don't know. I mean, I wanted to go to college for music, like music education, and then I didn't like playing other instruments. I didn't think I could be a teacher for, like, you need to have expertise in, like, so many instruments. So, like, I kind of just kept playing casually. I had a band I played with. We did like jams, just 3-piece, like think of like John Butler trio type of like jamming.
Yeah.
And then I really just got out of it completely. I had sold a lot of my drum gear. I just was like, man, I'll never really, utilize like this whole thing. And then when the tribute band hired me for the first time, I had a month, and I was like, I gotta buy like drums and cymbals. And I told the guy, I was like, yeah, man, I can do it. I can play. Even though I was like, I'm a little rusty, but I can play. And within a week, I had like everything, and I just started practicing every day. He gave me the set list, and I had like a magnifying glass on each song. I was playing in a band locally that was like a party band, and it was just like playing like the latest top 40 hits, and I just was fun, but like I didn't get like fulfillment out of it.
Yeah.
And it was just like a couple $100 on the weekend for some gigs and like whatever. And when I got the call, like, it just happened to be because I had a couple YouTube videos up of me playing Carter parts.
Yeah.
So, but there really was, especially in Buffalo, which is such like a blue collar, like it's not like you're in Los Angeles where you can become like a studio guy or like a touring guy and meet the right people. Like the industry here is tough. So it's like, there wasn't much.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity came along, it was like, I have to go play with this band.
Yeah.
They're a nationally touring band. This is so cool.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was as far as it was going to go at the time.
Yeah.
So.
And then here we are.
Yeah.
And you are, like you said, a little bit, you're the owner of the band now. So what does that look like? So not only are you...
It's like insane.
I know. Not only are you, playing the music, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with owning it.
I mean, and... we're an LLC. Like we have, 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 we have a ton of the expenses we incur are absolutely insane, like moving people around the country on a budget, you know, because we don't have Dave's tour budget,
of course not,
you know, so it's like it's just it's a lot of thinking, it's a lot of planning, it's a lot of maps, it's a lot of logistic thinking, and like it's a lot of tough conversations with people to be like, hey, actually, the show you came to in Fayetteville, I think I told you we had just driven like 13 hours overnight from Denver to make a 3 o'clock load in, and just telling people, hey guys, like, unfortunately, like, we got to drive overnight. There's no hotel. You get to sleep in the back of the RV, and we're driving, taking shifts, and it's like, we have to play this show because it's a good opportunity in this new market that we haven't played. So it's a lot of like just that type of management skill to be like, guys, like, we have to do this.
Right.
And, you know, it'll be worth it because of XYZ.
Right.
And, like, that's a lot of my job. Like, playing, to me, like, playing is free. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm playing for, it's not, like, it's strumming is just what I love to play.
Yeah.
Like, but it's all the time. It's leaving home for extended periods of time. And, like, for everyone, people have kids, like, we have animals. Like, that's a lot of the life is just, like, time management is a huge part of the job.
Yeah.
So
it really is.
Payroll, finances. I do all the finances.
So many things, right? And then the taxes are different once you have a business. It's just it changes your life, but like this is the life that you want, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, I love hanging out with my guys.
Yeah.
And like traveling around and like the feeling of like getting to a new city and getting to the venue and setting up and putting on a killer show for like whether it's like 5 people or like 500 or 1,000. Like it's just the feeling of fulfillment of like the camaraderie of like traveling around and like I don't know, there's something to it. And I can definitely, I feel like I could see DMB like how that feeling grows of like, and the scale they're doing it at, like, and they go to Europe and all, it's got to be crazy. So it's like addicting in a way. And I love being able to, like, we all like, you know, you've talked to Gresh and like Zach, everyone has their spouses come along. You met Maureen this weekend, Tim's wife, and like they get to go see these cool places. So Becky likes to come along, and like it's cool to have that opportunity to travel at our age. I think,
absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
So that's the best part.
So as the band grows, obviously, like sometimes those responsibilities are taken off of the musicians because it is, you know, it is a full-time job just to kind of to play an instrument, especially at the level that, you know, so many bands are doing. So what is it going to take from the fans of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band in order for you guys to continue to grow? Like, if you could ask for, like, or if you had a wish, like, what would you want to see happen?
I mean, it would just, honestly, like, it's really the, like, interaction online of, like, when we put out posts where it's like, hey, what do you want to hear? Hey, we're, like, these are our shows this weekend, like, and we'll usually ask, like, are you going? And if so, like, what songs do you want to hear? And that's not just for, like, clicks or comments. Like, it's because we actually kind of care.
Yeah.
Like, if someone is like, oh, I would love to hear this song. Like, it's my wife and I are coming, and it's her favorite one. And, like, can you tell her it's from me? And, like, we read all of those, and we try to do them.
Yeah.
Because our point is, like, obviously, like, we understand, like, we want, like, people should go see DMB.
Sure.
And, like, why should they come see us? We're playing the same music, like, and yeah, we have the violin and we have the different sound, but, like, really it's, like, we just want to make it fun and make it, like, we want it to be a DMB party and not, like, a tribute band trying to, like, act like they're some other famous band.
Right.
Like, we're like, how can we just make this a fun DMB party?
Right.
Where it's like, oh yeah, I wanted you guys to play, like, my wife, she loves 41, like, can you play it and tell her it's from me? Like, we'll do that. And that's something that hopefully those two people will remember.
Right.
And they'll keep coming back.
Right.
So it's like that interaction, like, we actually care.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
we're asking for a reason. So, like, just that alone is awesome. And then, like, bring in your friends. Like, I know a lot of people who have said, like, oh, I brought my buddy who he's okay with Dave Matthews, but he loved watching you guys play because it looked like you're having so much fun. So, like, I mean, obviously ticket sales are everything. And without that, like, there is no business. There is really no band.
Right.
So it's just that interaction, like, and giving us a chance, like, giving us the chance to say, like, oh man, you know, tribute bands, maybe I usually think they're a little cringy, but, like, I love Dave, like, I'll try these guys out.
Yeah.
You know, like, and hopefully, like, we can kind of win your hearts over where it's like, oh, they're just a bunch of nerdy guys like me, Dave fans, and they're just jamming out the songs and trying to do the old sound justice.
Right.
Where it's not like, you know, we're walking out there with like our, like, we're trying to like act like each guy, and it's like, no, like it's just the consideration that, hey, like this could just be a fun D&B night.
That's right.
That's really what we need from people, is that mindset, you know?
Yeah. So be sure to check out all of their socials, their website. Look to see if they're coming to a city near you, because again, that's how you can help, is ticket sales. Again, ticket sales are everything. It's that way for every band, and so of course this band is no different. So I think this interview has given us a good look of a few of the people in the band and kind of like what this band means to them, why they are doing that. And so, you know, hopefully with this information, if you've never heard of the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, you know, you'll check them out. You'll give them a chance, because a lot of people are just super impressed. They're coming to see him time and time again. I had a friend that came with me that drove from Connecticut, and she can't stop talking about the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. Like, and,
awesome.
And she's a big Dave fan. Like, she is a really big Dave fan, and so I feel like that's the most ultimate compliment. Is to say, I understand what you're trying to do in the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, and I love the Dave Matthews Band, and you guys are different, and I love both of you. Like, what a compliment. What a compliment that is. And I think that's ultimately like what you guys are looking for, because we're just celebrating the music. That is what we're all doing. And we all can't get to a Dave Matthews Band show. They're expensive, their travel, you know, and some people just don't even like the environment of 15,000 people. And so the Dave Matthews Tribute Band makes the music very reachable in a lot of places that it wouldn't be otherwise. And you're just going to hang out with your Dave people, which, like, if you're listening to this podcast, you know that's what we like to talk about, is the fans around the music. And so you're going to find yourself in a smaller place listening to some amazing musicians with amazing backgrounds celebrating the same music that you like. And so it's a win-win for everybody. So guys, first, David, thank you again for an amazing weekend, for showing me Buffalo, for letting me sit down with everybody, letting me tag along, letting me have access to you guys, and just kind of recording the story behind the story of your band. And so guys, thank you so much for checking this out. I encourage you to check out the YouTube side of this video, just so you can see my sit down interviews with so many of the band members. But then also we went to Wonderland Forest, and you have to see that with your eyes. Like, you can be listening to this on a podcast app, and like maybe you'll get it, you'll create a vision in your head, but I need you to see the one that was for real, because like I found a real gnome in the forest.
Oh, that's
Wonderland
right, you did.
Forest. I did. Like,
right,
it was things that like I can't just describe. So be sure to check out. Be sure to check out the YouTube channel. Yeah. So yeah, if Wonderland Forest, that's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. So check it out. Give them some love. And then our friend Uncle Phil. He had a popcorn stand.
Healthy Snacks.
That's right.
Was the name of his
snacks.
Exactly. I remember it.
This dude was so amazing.
Nice.
He kind of made the weekend for us. It was so good. So give him some love too. I've tagged him in the description of this video or this podcast, so be sure to check him out. But in the meantime, guys, stay tuned to all the socials. The Space Between podcast is on the road. I'm headed to Denver to see the first show of last leg of the summer tour. So I'm so excited to be doing that. And then there's some big things coming, guys. Like big things. Like I think every episode I talk about this. These boys are getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this October, and so I couldn't be like a more proud parent. Like, I feel like I'm the mama of the band, and I'm not, but I'm like, the boys are going. And so the Space Between podcast will be there. So definitely check out for the events that are coming along with that in Cleveland, Ohio in October. So guys, in the meantime, love each other, and peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.
Space between the tears we